Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS FANS. Let's get to the news. So folks, we're diving deep into some of the latest buzz swirling around the NFL. And yes, it's centered around our beloved Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Well, trust me, what's happening here could reshape the entire NFC South. And more importantly, it could be a game changer for the Falcons' ambitions of returning to the Super Bowl stage. We're talking about roster moves, strategic trades, and some big picture thinking that might just be the spark our team needs to elevate to the next level. Let's start by talking about Kyle Pitts, the Falcons' promising tight end, who, despite all the hype and potential, has yet to fully realize his game-changing capabilities in the NFL. Since he was drafted, there's been a lot of expectation, a lot of hope that Pitts would be the next great tight end, a matchup nightmare and a primary weapon for our offense. But honestly, he's not quite there yet. Some fans might be frustrated, and understandably so, because the talent is undeniable. Still, there's a feeling that the Falcons haven't quite figured out how to unlock that potential, how to put Pitts in the best position to succeed consistently. And that's where the discussions about his future and the team's strategic moves start to heat up. Now, I want to clarify something important right off the bat. There's been a lot of noise about potential trades involving Pitts, and some wild rumors floating around about three-team mega deals that seem to complicate everything unnecessarily. For example, Bleacher Report recently threw out a convoluted three-team trade scenario that honestly makes no sense when you really analyze it. They suggested that the Falcons could trade away Trey Hendrickson, a solid pass rusher, to the Colts, with DeForest Buckner moving to Atlanta and Pitts heading off to Cincinnati. But let's be real, that's a lot of pretzel logic. Why? Because it's unnecessary complexity. It's not how NFL trades typically work, and it's not how the Falcons should approach their roster upgrades. The core idea is simple. Hendrickson is a player who Atlanta could use, especially to bolster our pass rush, which was a bit inconsistent last season. The Bengals, on the other hand, value Hendrickson highly, especially considering his 17.5 sacks in a single season, that's elite production, and a true game wrecker on the edge. Moving him without a clear plan would be a mistake for Cincinnati, especially since their defense relies heavily on players like him to get after the quarterback. For the Falcons, acquiring a player of that caliber makes a lot of sense, especially if it doesn't cost us a fortune or involve a complicated three-team swap. So, let's break this down. The idea of trading Hendrickson to Cincinnati for draft capital or other assets makes sense. The Bengals could use that draft capital to bolster their defense, which was a bit leaky last season. They're in a bit of a rebuild mode, and getting a proven pass rusher like Hendrickson would be a significant upgrade. Meanwhile, the Falcons could focus on improving our offensive line or adding depth at other positions, knowing we're getting a player who's proven he can get to the quarterback at an elite level. It's a straightforward two-team deal that benefits both sides, without unnecessary convolutions. Now, what about Pitts? Well, here's where things get interesting. There's been speculation about the Falcons moving Pitts to Cincinnati in exchange for draft picks or other assets. But let's ask ourselves, what's the real value of Pitts right now? Is he a bust? No, not at all. But he's still a young player, still developing, and perhaps he needs the right system, the right coaching, and more consistent targets to truly unleash his potential. Cincinnati, with Joe Burrow leading the offense, could be a perfect environment for Pitts to thrive. Burrow loves tight ends, and with Cincinnati's offensive scheme, Pitts could become a primary weapon, especially in the red zone. But again, it's not just about Pitts for the Bengals. It's about what they're willing to give up and what they want in return. The Bengals are a team on the rise, and they're not just going to give away draft capital lightly. If they want Pitts, it'll cost them, and likely a draft pick or two, maybe even a player or a future pick. The Falcons, on the other hand, should be in a position to hold out for more, especially if they believe Pitts can develop into a top-tier tight end with the right environment. And here's the thing, the Falcons do need to be strategic about their roster building. We've seen how a strong pass rush can turn a defense from mediocre to elite, and Hendrickson can be that guy. At the same time, developing Pitts is crucial for our offensive future, especially with the young core we have, including Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and others. The key is balancing immediate impact with long-term growth. That's why a simple, straightforward trade, Hendrickson for draft capital or a young player, and possibly a different move for Pitts, makes more sense than overcomplicating things with multi-team trades that only serve to confuse fans and insiders alike. Let's talk about the bigger picture now. The NFC South is changing, folks. The Buccaneers are in a rebuild, the Saints are trying to find consistency, and the Panthers are still figuring things out with their young roster. The Falcons, on the other hand, have a window to capitalize on this shifting landscape. If we can improve our pass rush with Hendrickson, bolster our defense, and continue developing our offensive stars like Pitts, we can position ourselves as serious contenders for the division title and beyond. Remember, Atlanta has always been a city that thrives on resilience and innovation, and this offseason could be the turning point where we finally put it all together. The coaching staff is aware of this too. Arthur Smith has shown he can get the most out of his players when given the right tools. The front office understands the importance of smart, strategic moves rather than quick fixes. That's why I believe we'll see some targeted acquisitions, perhaps not the wildest blockbuster trades, but smart, impactful ones that set us up for sustained success. And don't forget about the draft. Atlanta has multiple picks this year, and they'll be looking to add depth, talent, and perhaps even a few hidden gems that can elevate our squad. Now, I want to highlight the importance of patience and strategic thinking in this process. It's tempting for fans to want instant results, especially after a season that maybe didn't meet expectations. But building a championship team takes time, smart decisions, and a little bit of luck. The Falcons have a lot of young talent, and with the right moves, we can accelerate our timeline. The potential trade scenarios are exciting, but the key is to make sure we're not overpaying or complicating things unnecessarily. Sometimes, the best move is the simple one, a straightforward trade that benefits both teams without the needless drama. And speaking of the future, let's not forget the importance of continuity. Keeping key players like Grady Jarrett, Jesse Bates, and our young stars on defense is vital. On offense, continuing to develop Desmond Ridder and giving him reliable targets will determine how far we can go. The draft and free agency are tools to fill gaps, but the core of this team is already promising. The Falcons are poised to be a team on the rise, with a mix of young talent and experienced veterans guiding the way. Now, I know some of you are eagerly awaiting updates on specific players, contract negotiations, or draft targets, and I promise I'll keep you posted as soon as I get more concrete information. But what's clear is that the Falcons are in an intriguing spot right now. We have the assets, the young talent, and the coaching staff to make some smart moves that could push us over the edge. Whether it's strengthening our pass rush, finding the right environment for Pitts, or making strategic draft selections, this offseason is shaping up to be pivotal. And looking ahead, the NFC South is more competitive than ever. The Saints are aggressive, the Panthers are hungry, and the Buccaneers are trying to reboot after some tough seasons. But Atlanta has the opportunity to be the team that takes control, that sets the tone for the division, and ultimately makes a deep playoff run. It's all about smart decisions now, and I truly believe that the Falcons are on the brink of something big. The pieces are there, all they need is the right moves, a little patience, and a lot of passion from us fans who believe in this team's potential. So, as we wrap up today's deep dive into the latest Falcons news and the potential moves that could shape our future, remember that this is a team with a rich history, a passionate fan base, and a lot of talent still waiting to be unlocked. The offseason is just beginning, and the story is far from over. Keep your eyes peeled, stay hopeful, and stay loud, because Atlanta Falcons football is back, and we're here for the ride. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these rumors, potential trades, and the future of our team? Do you believe a simple, strategic move like acquiring Hendrickson makes sense? Or are you more optimistic about developing our young core and sticking to the current roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Atlanta Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Falcons news. This offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Thanks for riding along with me today, and as always, go Falcons.